This coming Sunday is the 6th Sunday in Ordinary Time. It is part of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. He addresses a variety of important topics, not only for the people of his time, but for us as well. The Gospel passage comes from Matthew's Gospel, chapter 5, verses 17 through 37. Let's take a listen. Jesus said to his disciples, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have come not to abolish, but to fulfill. Amen, I say to you, until heaven and earth pass away, not the smallest letter or the smallest part of a letter will pass from the law, until all things have taken place. Therefore, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do so will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever obeys and teaches these commandments will be called greatest in the kingdom of heaven. I tell you, unless your righteousness surpasses that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. You have heard that it was said to your ancestors, 'You shall not kill,' and whoever kills will be liable to judgment. But I say to you, whoever is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment. And whoever says to his brother, 'Raca,' will be answerable to the Sanhedrin. And whoever says, 'You fool,' will be liable to fiery Gehenna. Therefore, if you bring your gift to the altar, and there recall that your brother has anything against you, leave your gift there at the altar, go first and be reconciled with your brother, and then come and offer your gift. Settle with your opponent quickly while on the way to court. Otherwise, your opponent will hand you over to the judge, and the judge will hand you over to the guard, and you will be thrown into prison. Amen, I say to you, you will not be released until you have paid the last penny. You have heard that it was said, 'You shall not commit adultery.' But I say to you, everyone who looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one of your members than to have your whole body thrown into Gehenna. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one of your members than to have your whole body go into Gehenna. It was also said, 'Whoever divorces his wife must give her a bill of divorce.' But I say to you, whoever divorces his wife, unless the marriage is unlawful, causes her to commit adultery, and whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Again, you have heard that it was said to your ancestors, 'Do not take a false oath, but make good to the Lord all that you vow.' But I say to you, do not swear at all, not by heaven, for it is God's throne, nor by the earth, for it is his footstool, nor by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great King. Do not swear by your head, for you cannot make a single hair white or black. Let your yes mean yes, and your no mean no. Anything more is from the evil one." There are several important topics that Jesus addresses in this Sermon on the Mount. I will focus on just one of them. The topic of anger is important for us to consider. Certainly anger is not something new. It's been around since the days of Cain and Abel. Yet in our own time it seems that there has been an increase in what anger produces, and that is violence, destruction, and death. All of us get angry. It is a human emotion. Actually, we do need to express it in some way. If we don't, it's possible it will fester and have a greater potency when it is expressed. It is appropriate to express our anger at that which is evil. We express our anger also at that which threatens us, that which could harm us. It is good to channel our anger into something that can diffuse it, like exercise or work or meditation or prayer. Maybe counting to 10 still works for you. If so, use it. Sadly, anger can easily ignite. That is why Jesus cautions us so strongly about anger. The outward act almost always begins with an inward emotion. So we do need to pay attention to the inward emotion of anger. The outward actions of violence almost always begin with that inward emotion of anger. We see violence in the form of war in our world, in Ukraine and South Sudan and other places around the globe. We see violence in the form of mass shootings, the killing of innocent victims. We see violence in the form of random acts, almost unimaginable, pushing someone onto a subway track. We see violence among the young. A news story recently reported about a 9-year-old who was beating 2 other students on a school bus, all of it recorded on someone's cell phone. Recently, Pope Francis was on a pilgrimage of peace to South Sudan, where there has been a great deal of violence. He said, "Violence turns back the course of history." Herodotus, that ancient historian, himself spoke of the intergenerational disruption brought on by war, when children no longer bury their parents, but parents bury their children. In order that this land may not turn into a cemetery, but become once more a luxuriant garden, I beg you with all my heart to accept 4 simple words, not my words, but those of Christ. He himself spoke them in a garden in Gethsemane, when to a disciple who had drawn a sword, he cried, "No more of this." Our gospel, which addresses the reality of anger, is worth our reflection. Let the gospel fill your week. See you in church. Until then, God bless.